Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skipbound, and this is the Top 5 Weekly, where myself and some guests, sometimes one guest, sometimes two guests, talk about a topic. Could be an actor, could be an actress, could be a director, could be a genre. In this case, it's in honor of The Five Bloods that's coming out and on June 12th. We're going to talk about Spike Lee films. And like always, I can't do this by myself. It'd be pretty boring if you guys sat here and had to listen to me talk about this stuff by myself. So I always have guests, one returning guest, Marisol, and a first-time guest who I've been trying to get on. We missed each other, a couple planes flying in different directions a couple different times. Mr. Chance Ellison. Marisol, welcome back. Thank you for coming back to talk about Spike Lee films.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm glad to be back. It's good to
and
see
Mr. Chance, we kind of had a discussion about your show a while back. And I said, I used to do this show. Do you mind if I started up my show again, since your show's kind of on hiatus? And you're like, yeah, sure. You kind of gave me a blessing. So I appreciate that.
Of course. And happy to be here to talk about some Spike Lee joints.
Yeah. All the messages, every time I would message you guys, hey, you guys want to talk about Spike Lee joints? Spike Lee, of course, in my little thing up here, it's Spike Lee films. Joints, films. It's just an in slang word that we use, Spike Lee joints. But let's not mess around here. Let's get going here. There's one rule though, is if Marisol, let's say Marisol has something at number 5 and you have something at number 3, all you got to do, Chance, is say, hold on, wait a minute, and then we'll just go until we get to it on the person's list at the earliest possible moment. That's the only thing. So we could skip a couple people's 5, 4, whatever, because we're going to wait till 1, 2. So that way we're not having multiple conversations about the same film. We're only going to have one conversation about the same film. So that way. So with that being said, Marisol, what is your number 5?
This was tricky. This was really tricky. I've flipped this around a lot. And then I decided to go with the movie that I chose because of a very, very specific reason. And this might sound like a cop-out, because I don't think, in terms of like actual great movies, I don't think this belongs in his top 5. But I put it at my number 5 because it is a movie that he's made that I think has made me think about it one of the longest times after I've watched it. And that is Bamboozled. That was my number 5.
I do not have that on my list. Chance, do you have that on your list?
No.
Yeah, nobody would.
Okay, so
I wasn't expecting anybody to do it. I went for it with Bamboozled in my top 5. At number 5, only because for one reason, and like I said, this is what I think is Spike Lee's most haunting and one of his most haunting and uncomfortable topics that he tackles, that pops up a lot, that is very active and has kind of festered its way into my mind. I'll step back a little bit. It's about so it's supposed to be a satire, and it's essentially a satire about blackface and minstrel shows in a very modern setting. We can't get Damon Wayans can't get his show off the ground. He can't pick a show that the networks will pick up. So he has an idea to, it's a joke initially, and he pitches a minstrel show to a TV studio, and it catches on like wildfire, and it becomes a hit. And it's a really uncomfortable movie. It's really messy. It's all over the place, and it's not subtle in any sense of the word. And it'll make you extremely uncomfortable, which some of his best stuff does. It'll make you very uncomfortable the whole time, and it'll get you thinking about it a lot. And it shows it makes you think about a lot about the disconnect between the characters that we see in our entertainment and who okayed that, who greenlit that, and who's sitting in a studio, in a boardroom at a studio okaying, and it puts it all in a different light and a different lens for you that you can't unsee once you see that, when somebody just comes forward and just unapologetically makes that case. And that's why it's my number 5.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I never saw that movie, so now I have to add it to my list of things to see. Chance, have you seen Bamboozled?
Yeah, Bamboozled is one of, I think, his more underrated films. I think more people didn't check that out. It was hugely not what was at the time, just because of what it was dealing with. But honestly, I think that in a way, it was kind of ahead of its time, because those are still things that are not entirely dealt with. So yeah, like, it is uncomfortable, but I do think it's one more people should watch in his filmography. It's not the easiest watch of his, but I think more people should check it out.
It's challenging and it's very thought provoking. It's one of his sloppier directing efforts, I definitely think. It's uneven. The writing is uneven, but the points, the satire, the messages are just, you cannot ignore them. Like, they're unforgettable. They're in your face. They're undeniable.
Well, I'll definitely have to check it out then, because I honestly, I never even heard of that film, to be honest with you. So now that's one of the reasons why I do this show, is to learn about movies. Just people recommend movies that I never saw, or I might recommend movies other people never saw, or whatever. So I'm just going to have to put that on my list of things to watch. All right, Chance, what is your number 5?
So my number 5 is this is a tough one, because there were like 2 going for this spot. Ultimately, I went with the deeper film, and that is He Got Game.
Wow, that's my number 5, Chance.
Okay, so yeah, He Got Game, story about a recently paroled felon played by Denzel Washington, who he gets not paroled, but he gets let go for a little bit to try and see if he can get his son to commit to the warden's college. And if he did, there's a deal on the table that he might be able to get out. His son, played by Ray Allen. Funny story, he was supposed to be played by Kobe Bryant, but he had a crap postseason the year before, so he didn't want to do a movie. His words, not mine. But yeah, I do think this does a good job of portraying like a lot of different like fundamentals in like underprivileged Black communities. First of which is the idea that, for a lot of people, like, sports are their only way out. Like, if you can get really good at sports, you have a ticket out of your situation. Another one is the justice system and how it abuses, like, the justice system abuse of African Americans. Because, I mean, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but by the end of it, like, you feel really bad for Jake Shuttlesworth, because you feel like he's just been used by this system, and you just feel dirty about it. But it's also like a really good story about fathers and sons, because their relationship is challenging because of something Jake did in his past, and ultimately manifested in him having a challenging relationship with everybody. And honestly, Ray Allen, for an athlete who had never done a movie prior to this, he's really, really great as this kid who is getting yanked in so many different directions, and just everyone he knows everywhere wants something from him, and he just doesn't know he doesn't know what to do. He's fantastic. One of the best performances by an athlete in any movie. And yeah, He Got Game, definitely one of Spike Lee's better efforts, and a deeper film than you might expect from something that could easily be just a plain basketball movie.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Jesus Shuttlesworth, one of the most interesting movie character names. I love the name Jesus Shuttlesworth. Ray Allen. Anybody that knows me, I'm a Boston Celtics fan, so I'm a big Ray Allen fan. So this movie really is one of those movies that I love because of Ray Allen, but I also love Denzel Washington. And like Chance said, the chemistry between the two. The father is just like a father, though. he's like, oh, let's go play basketball, and da, 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 you know, and he's acting all like I'm this and I'm that about the game of basketball, and like I could beat you, and this I'm the father, and you're the son, you're not gonna beat the father, you know, just like a father would act towards his son. You know, I'm better than you, you're just a kid, and all this stuff. Of course, the kid by this point has gotten better than the father, and yeah, I mean. What a way to let this guy out on furlough. The guy that runs the prison. I'm going to let you out on furlough so you can convince your son to go play basketball at my alma mater. I mean, and you know, what's his name from Superman? Dang it,
Ned Beatty.
Ned Beatty. He's the guy. You know, he's in it. And then, like you said, the girlfriend's saying like she might be pregnant, and then, of course, all the coaches, they have the whole montage of coaches like, come play for Syracuse, come play for Georgetown, come play for Arizona, come play for all, you know, basketball movies or high school. They always have that montage of the coaches, which I love to see the montage of the coaches. You know, you have the coach of Arkansas in there. But that's always kind of funny to see that part of it, the high school. You know, I've been involved in high school basketball for over 25 almost 30 years. And it's so true, the recruiting process. And like you said, Chance, pulling the athlete in so many different directions, but not really knowing what the athlete's real motivations are, why they want to be successful and why they want to go to the NBA or go to college or whatever and be a successful athlete. That has always been the main thing that a lot of films don't really they kind of gloss over that kind of stuff. But he is coming from a tough background, and his father is in jail and stuff, and his girlfriend might be pregnant, and so he does have a lot on his table, you know, to try to focus on college.
Yeah, that's one of the.
Go ahead, Marisol. We haven't had a chance to get to you yet on it, but talk about what are your thoughts on He Got Game?
No, you guys they're hitting it. That's one of the things that makes it so special and so special coming from Spike is that he taps into a chance, like you were saying, these angles, and Dan, you were saying too, these angles that we don't see this kind of story told from, like the emphasis that we see in these kind of stories from a perspective that we don't really see, and encompasses so much, so many social pressures, so many, like this kid is just going to collapse under all this pressure. And that it just makes for such a fascinating movie and a fascinating relationship with his father, and the father not only trying to redeem himself, but like using his son as like to do the things that he couldn't do, like, you know, put all that pressure, put not only his son's success, but his own redemption on his son's shoulders. It's so dense. And
he's
it's so
living
remarkable.
vicariously through him. He's living vicariously through him.
Yeah.
What you're trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of fathers, and when I've coached football and I've coached basketball, and I will tell you this: there's a lot of parents that live vicariously through their children because they couldn't have that athletic ability that their kids have, and this really pushes it right into the forefront. This movie. And he really does tackle a lot of subjects within this movie of He Got Game. So, yeah, that's my number 5, and Chance's number 5. So that means we're going back to Marisol for her number 4.
What do I have here? Let me see. Let me pull up my notes. Okay. Number 4. This is not a cheat. I couldn't talk about Spike Lee without giving some shout outs to his documentary work. And I didn't want to pick a couple. I don't want to generalize them, so I had to pick one. And I picked 4 Little Girls for my.
I got a little higher.
You got that higher? Okay, so then we shouldn't talk about that yet. Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait till Chance we get the chances. Okay. And now we're gonna go to Chance's number 4.
Yeah, my number 4 is, well, I guess not counting Five Bloods' most recent film, Black Klansman.
Yeah, that's my number 4 as well, Chance.
Yes.
Me and you are pretty close on our.
So Spike Lee.
You don't have that, do you, Marisol?
That's an honorable mention for me. Okay, that just missed my top 5.
Just double checking. Okay, go ahead, Chance.
So like I say, Spike had a rough patch in the late 2000s to early 2010s. Like he wasn't really hitting like he used to. We thought, hey, maybe Spike's best days are behind him. But then he came out with Chirac, which was a nice step in the right direction. I think he apexed with one. I'm not gonna say apex because I haven't seen Five Bloods yet, but it looks great. But he really showed that, hey, I can still do this. I can still hang with Black Klansmen. I think it's a great bit of, well, not irony, but kind of it's a nice synergy going from making movies with Denzel to making movies with Denzel's kid now. Like, I think that's nice. I think he's great for his first movie, and to be like a lead like this. Maybe the Washington gene is like genetic, being able to act, but he steps in and he looks like he's been doing this for 10 years. He is that natural. He is that good. You have, I think, Adam Driver in a fantastic supporting role, well-deserved Oscar nomination. Topher Grace, after some missteps cinematically, coming back right as David Duke, leader of the Ku Klux Klan. And yeah, I think it's an unconventional thing because I read the book Black Klansman. In fact, Ron Stallworth lives in my hometown. And when I saw it, he was actually at the premiere. He had the whole Q&A with him. He's a really, really nice guy. And you can see just, I think they stretched some things dramatically, like the whole bomb plot wasn't real, but I give it a pass because, you do need some kind of stakes, you need some kind of dramatic tension, because if you read the book, he's kind of like he did this just because he could. And I think that's cool. But yeah, I think the way they portray it is like the way they portray hatred. And something that I do give Spike a lot of credit for is the way he wrote the Klan members, because they're not like overtly evil, but they do it like really passively. They're people who really believe that what they stand for is the correct thing. And I think it's a really nuanced portrayal that does a better job than any just like, oh, minorities are bad type of portrayal you could have done in a story like this. So I think that's nice. I think that the direction of this is pitch perfect. It's like a culmination of every great Spike Lee trick he ever had is in this film, from the pan shot with the on like a dolly or whatever it is. There's that. There's all kinds of transition. It feels like a love letter to Black culture in the 70s. And yeah, it's just such a great portrayal of a story like this. I think Spike Lee did a great job. It's his best movie in a while. I think it's one of his best of his entire career.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Chance. I think it's one of the best of his entire career as well. I mean, he, like you said, he hits on so many great topics. The thing is, you just think, Adam Driver's this white guy, he's in the police, and why is he gotta put this energy into helping this guy out break the Klan? Well, he's Jewish, and the Klan don't like Jewish people, so he has a vested interest in helping John David Washington's character, Ron Stallworth. And one of my favorite things about movies is I love period piece movies, especially set in the 70s. That's my favorite decade, or the 60s, where we get to see the music and the clothes and the cars and the hair and all that stuff. So I'm a big fan of period piece movies set in that era. In the 80s, now 80s is a 30 years ago. 80s is 30 years ago. Can you believe that, guys? That's crazy how long the 80s is gone. It just seems like yesterday to me. But so these type of period piece movies, and of all the places, Colorado Springs, Colorado, you think Colorado is kind of a progressive place, but even then they had some rough times with people not being nice to a lot of different people. So when this movie came out, it was my number one movie of the year for the longest time, until a couple other things beat it out. But I absolutely loved it. I think it's a return to form for Spike Lee, and hopefully the Five Bloods will be right there with Black Klansman on that level. So Marisol, I know you didn't have it on your list, but you got any thoughts?
No, it was, I should have just put it at number 5, maybe. No, maybe. It's my list.
Yeah.
Good. It was my honorable mention because, it is, I definitely agree with you guys, a return to form, and a more polished much more polished, rounded, a stronger, more consistent effort than he can be at his worst, like than his most uneven efforts. It was focused, it was strong. I thought Klansman was so solid, and yet he does what he does best right at the epilogue there when he wraps it up. When he brings it, like he already, you picked up on it enough, the parallels enough when you were watching it, but then he just hammers it home because he's really good at that, and just embeds it in your skull, and shows us that the Charlottesville rally, that aftermath of that. And that is it. I was shedding angry tears like watching that, and that was just a perfect bookend to that movie, and he just took it home with the end, like the resolutions in that movie, and yeah, I cannot wait to. It gives me a lot of hope about a second wind in his career.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I forgot to mention that, but you're right, boy. That ending, wow, does that hit you like a ton of bricks at the end? After you just went through that movie, and then all of a sudden you're listening, you're seeing that stuff, and you're like, oh my god. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So we're going back to Marisol for number 3.
Number 3. My number 3 is Do the Right Thing. That's at number 3 for me.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I'm sorry, Marisol.
Steers higher up.
Yeah, we both got that a little bit higher. Okay. That means we're going to go to Chance, and if I'm not mistaken, I bet Chance has got the one that Marisol already had.
Yeah, it's 4 Little Girls. Is my number 3.
So that means you guys can have a discussion about that.
Yeah. So yeah, like Marisol said, I think that Spike Lee is just as good a documentarian as he's a narrative filmmaker. And yeah, this is the apex of that. This is about, I mean, it's not really people don't really consider this one because it went straight to HBO after debuting really well at whatever film festival was at that year. But yeah, this is about the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in '63. And the victims of that, mainly the titular 4 little girls whose names are escaping me right now. But yeah, talk about a heartbreaker of a documentary. Just the way he is able to, go through archive footage and through interviews, just make you feel like you're in the driver's seat for all this. Makes you feel the weight of the situation, make you feel the weight of the event that happened, and just really just makes you just self-reflect. You watch that movie and you just want to sit in the shower and cry for 3 days straight. It's heavy, it's powerful. It's again much like a lot of movies, not an easy watch, but it's a emotionally rewarding experience, and it's a really enlightening one that I really would encourage people to go check it out.
Marisol, you got thoughts on it?
Yeah, completely agree. It's another one of what he does best, which is talking about the past and bringing it into today, drawing, making those connections and connecting that bridge and showing you a horror from what is supposed to be the past and what we're supposed to have moved on from, and reminding us that it's still affecting us today. And what I think, and why I really think that and this is the best example, Lee has, more people need to see his documentary work, because this is such a good vessel for his talents. When people think of Spike Lee, they think of just in your face. He wears his politics just on his sleeve, and in your face, he's beating you over the head with his politics and his message. This is people casting him in the worst light, and you can't argue when he does a documentary, because there's so much restraint in a documentary when he does it. And this is a great example of it. This whole documentary most of it is the victims' parents talking, their family, their parents, their friends. It's not Spike Lee's opinion on the world. It's the world. It's flesh and blood. It's intimate stories from the people who are living these things. And it's not, his filter or his art or what he wants you to think about it. He's showing you his view on the world pretty much through flesh and blood people. And it makes it like Chance was saying, it gets really under your skin. I cried like 5 times, like watching this thing. And it makes his message, you still feel his energy through his documentaries, and it just makes you feel that message even more intensely. But
yeah, I never saw this film. Another film now I have to put on my list of movies to watch. You guys got 2 new movies that I never heard of. I'm gonna have to watch now, so I appreciate that a lot. From what you guys have to say, this seems like a really, really good film that I definitely need to check out. All right, so that leads to my number 3, and my number 3 is The 25th Hour. Does anybody have that on their list?
that's an honorable mention for me, but no, I don't have it on my list.
Yeah, The 25th Hour is a film in the wake of 9/11. It's about a guy who's been basically sentenced to prison, and he's got one day to get his affairs in order with his girlfriend, his friends, and so forth in New York City. And it stars Edward Norton. Edward Norton is the star of the character. Monty Brogan is the guy's name. And this, I'll tell you what, this is like one of the first films I ever saw after 9/11 or post 9/11 that really tackled 9/11 itself, but also the people in New York, people that kind of had to live through 9/11 and so forth. And this guy, he's got a life that he had to live in the wake of 9/11. And I really loved how Spike Lee, when he finds really good material or writes really good material, you could see the characters come off the screen or off the page or whatever, and you could see when he's got guys like Edward Norton who really goes to the next level with this character Monty Brogan, and all the supporting people in the film as well. They really take this material and run with it, and you believe this guy. You believe in his life, his story, what he's been going through in New York, and you believe that this is a real story that's happened in the real world, but I believe it's fiction. It's complete fiction, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I love the character, and I love his world that he lives in. And I think, I don't know if it's the Bronx or where it was. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. I've watched it a bunch of times, but I haven't seen it in a couple of years. So I'm not really. Maybe I should have looked it up a little bit before I did the show. But yeah, I'm a big fan of 25th Hour. I just think Spike Lee has done a lot of great films, but one of his best films, I mean, easily, in my opinion, one of his best films he's ever done was 25th Hour. I know, Marisol, you said you had it in your honorable mentions. You got any thoughts on it?
I did. It has been. I put it in my honorables. I think it would stay there anyway. It has been a while since I've seen it. I only saw it once, and I saw it like 10 years ago. Like I saw it a while ago. But it's what I remember thinking about it, and having watched like a bunch of other Spike Lees by that time. I remember thinking that this was like, because I can't not make a Tarantino reference, and I'll probably make another one. But this is like the Jackie Brown of Spike Lee's filmography. It's just one that you might not know it's him. If somebody didn't tell you that it was him, maybe you wouldn't. Only because I think he has more restraint. I think some more subtlety and restraint in this movie than you typically see from him. I still know it's him, but I think that there's an elegance to this movie that you don't always see this side of him, or this directing side of him. And it's a very smooth, and I like what you said. I completely agree with what you said, how it captures, it's very, very, very introspective, and it really catches like a feeling, and a feeling and a weight and a heaviness on people's mind, like you're saying, in a neighborhood and an environment. Spike Lee's really good at catching neighborhoods, catching the feel for a community. And this movie does that well, and Ed Norton's great.
Chance, have you seen 25th Hour?
Yeah, I have. And it's top 10 probably in my list, but not 5. I think it is a very good movie. One of my favorite Edward Norton performances. I think he's excellent in this film. I think like we said with post 9/11, and Spike is someone who's like very, very New York. You can tell it's like a very personal film for him. And I think that you can see that with every single shot, every single portrayal, every single way he portrays these communities that he's shooting in right now. And yeah, being post 9/11, it added that extra, flair to that film. It's not one that left like a huge impression on me because not much as other movies, but yeah, definitely a solid one. And I do think it's a good movie, and I don't hate it being on a top 5 list.
All right, thanks. All right, so now that was my number 3. We're going to go to Marisol's number 2.
My number 2, okay. My number 2 is one of my absolute favorites. This is the nitty gritty right here. These are like my favorite Spike Lees. My number 2 is Inside Man.
Wow.
And
do you have that?
No, it's not mine.
I have Inside Man on my honorable mentions, Marisol. So you get to wax poetic about this one, all on your own.
Oh man, I adore this movie. I love Inside Man. Spike Lee went like probably the most commercial he's gone like with this, and this is what you get when you find out. Oh, here comes another Tarantino reference. If we finally got to see Tarantino direct a movie that he didn't write, and you just got to see him slap all his style and his flavor on somebody, on a different kind of genre and somebody else's story. That's what Spike Lee does with Inside Man. And I just think the results are glorious. It's pretty much a heist movie. Denzel Washington plays a negotiator, New York negotiator, and Clive Owen is a bank robber who's put in place this elaborate heist. He's holding a bunch of people in the bank hostage, and he's on one side and Denzel Washington's on the other side in a game of cat and mouse, trying to get him to let all these people go before anybody gets hurt, before the situation explodes. And then somewhere in the mix is Jodie Foster as a woman in the shadows pulling the strings, makes things happen. And in between that is a whole bunch of colorful characters in New York, of talented cast as far as the eye can see. And I love this movie. It's a very compelling heist movie. And Spike Lee puts all his touches on this movie in all the right ways. It's not forgettable entertainment. He puts enough weight on it that his voice just comes through, and you see the city through his eyes, and scenes that would be throwaway scenes or throwaway moments you see them shot through his voice and his lens with his perspective, and he adds the right social commentary, the right weight in moments that would be just generic action movie moments under somebody else's hand, and he makes them memorable. And Denzel Washington, once again, is magnetic. And I like the twist. And I'm a sucker for some popcorn entertainment. And this is his most mainstream, probably, and accessible movie. And if you were easing into it, this would be a good way to ease somebody into Spike Lee light, I guess, but still capturing some of his important touches. So,
yeah. No, I mean, you said it all, Marisol. I absolutely agree. The twists are fantastic in it. If you just want to sit back, shove some popcorn and watch some good entertainment,
mm-hmm.
Inside Man is that for you. That John Q is another one you don't see a lot of his politics. You don't see a lot of his political views or his personal views on life or anything like that. I'm going to do a entertaining heist movie. I'm going to have some really good performances and have a few twists in there. And so, yeah, I really enjoy Inside Man as well for that,
Love
for those reasons. Chance, got any thoughts on Inside Man?
Yeah, Inside Man was in my top 5 for the longest time until I saw Four Little Girls, and then it got bumped out. I do think it is a very, yeah, like you said, I think it's his easy, most rewatchable movie. Because if I'm gonna pop in a Spike Lee movie, like, I just want to lay back and just watch it. I'll put it Inside Man because I do think it's fairly excellent. It's just, yeah, I think that there are ones that I think try a little more. Does that makes any sense? Like, it tries a little more and accomplishes more than Inside Man do, but I do think Inside Man's great. I love it. Like I said, this close to making my actual top 5.
Is there something else you wanted to say, Marisol?
Oh no, I was yes. I was just saying I forgot to mention too that the music, Terrence Blanchard does a movie on a lot of Spike Lee movies and has been like since like very early on. And this is my favorite score, like my favorite Terrence Blanchard score from a Spike Lee movie. Even and apparently Spike Lee thinks that too. He likes it so much he uses it at the end of which is another reason why that scene at the Black Klansman is so good. He uses music from Inside Man at the end of Black Klansman, because this score is.
Oh, okay, I'll have to remember that in the future when I watch either one of them. Chance, what is your number 2?
Number 2 is Malcolm X.
Hold on there. All right, so my number 2 was Do the Right Thing. I'm guessing your number 1 is Do the Right Thing. That was Marisol's number 4 or 3. So let's wait, and we'll do Malcolm X now, since we all have Do the Right Thing, and only 2 of us have Malcolm X. Wait, Marisol, you're
no,
number
Malcolm
1?
X.
Number 1?
Malcolm X. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the right thing now then. Let's get okay. Do the Right Thing out of the way now, since it's my number 2, and you guys, it's Chance's number 1, but 2 of us have Malcolm X at number 1. So we kind of we just spoiled that, but we have to have this discussion. So let's do the right thing first. And since I'm assuming Chance has got it at number 1, we'll let him go first.
We Do the Right Thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I do think that this stands up as Spike Lee's maybe most beloved film. And you can see why, because this was the one, because after She Hate Me, no, not She Hate Me, She Gotta Have It. This is one where he, yeah, no.
Let's not talk about that one.
I was thinking about the football player. There was a guy in the XFL who played for one of the teams, and on the back of his jersey he said, "She hate me."
Oh,
that's what I thought he was talking about. I guess
no, there's a movie he made called She Hate Me that's atrocious, but like never mind. But so talking about Do the Right Thing. Yeah, after She Gotta Have It, he came out with this one, and this was the one that I mean, She Hate Me was like got people like on the radar. This is the one that really put him on the map, because this is where you can see like so many of Spike Lee's like trademarks all in this one film. The colorful cast of characters, the supporting bits, the way he shoots things, the fact that he makes this neighborhood feel like a character, the fact that he tries to just put in so many different themes, different ideas that a lot of filmmakers weren't doing in '89. I think he scratched that itch for like a massive audience whose voices weren't being heard at the time. I think Spike Lee does maybe his best acting in this movie. I think his performance in Mookie is actually quite good. I love Giancarlo Esposito's Bugging Out. I think he's fantastic in the film. Danny Aiello is great. Turturro. Trying to think of the woman. I can see her face. I can't stand her voice.
Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez. Yeah, I hate her. I hate her voice, but I think she's very talented. I think she's good in the movie. Everything with Rady Raheem, Ossie Davis, and it really hits that like powerful. This was like his first like really like powerful movie, because by the end of the movie you're wondering like, did this certain character end up doing the right thing? And it never really give you an answer. It kind of leaves you to figure it out for yourself. I think it leaves the film on a really poignant note that he's just so great at. I think Do the Right Thing is an amazing film. I do think that is his best.
Marisol, you got any thoughts on Do the Right Thing?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna knock anybody who puts this as number one because it is essential. It's essential Spike Lee. And you hit it, like everything's so vivid. The neighborhood is a character. Like that this movie is breathing, it's alive in every possible way. And one of the reasons why it is just going to be a timeless, important, it's never not going to be important. It's always going to be relevant, is because of the moral ambiguity of the whole thing. And the truth behind that moral ambiguity is just like, it's so you can discuss it, you can have your own opinion about it, you can ask yourself, did somebody do the right thing? And then it's not important to find that answer. It's just important to learn that there's so much pain and anger and happiness and everything in all of us. And the Italians owning the pizzeria have their own view of the world and their own opinion. They're not wrong or right. You know, Mookie has his own philosophies. He's not wrong or right. You might agree with some characters more in the movie than the other. You know, the mayor has his own, like, everybody has their own philosophies in this movie, and he doesn't champion some or villainize some over the others. His characters are all just people just existing and bouncing off each other, and sometimes that causes devastating results, sometimes like tragic results, like everybody just crashes into each other. This movie does what Crash wishes it could have done, you know.
I agree, yeah.
You know, it's just, it's everybody's complex. Nobody's good or bad except for the cops. The cops are evil. I'm kidding. Even the cops, I mean, don't even get me started on the end, how bone chilling it is. Like, go and watch that movie after what just happened this last week. Go and watch the end of that movie after what just happened with George Floyd. And it's what happened at several points since then. And that is why Spike Lee is so important.
In the 90s with the OJ thing, all the riots coming after all that. This is only a few years before the
this
OJ.
was 3 years before Rodney King.
Rodney King, Rodney King and all that stuff. So it was like Spike Lee hit on something before the country even had a clue that there was something going on still in this country with Do the Right Thing. And then bam, with Rodney King, it just freaking came. So that makes this movie such a prophetic movie at that point. Then as years have gone by, right now it's like the anthem of our country. Do the Right Thing is a movie that you need to watch because this has been going on for decades. And when is this country going to see that there is a problem? And, you know, it takes a filmmaker 30 years ago to put a movie out. He told you what was going on 31 years ago. You know, when are we not going to listen to people like this guy? This guy is a smart man. You know, Spike Lee's a smart man. You know what I mean? But you guys hit it. You guys hit it on the head. Great performances from all these people. I mean, put some of these guys on the map for the first time, like John Turturro. You know, I don't know who he was before this. Danny Aiello gives a phenomenal performance in the film. Spike Lee himself as Mookie is fantastic. You know, we've seen him in commercials before this, you know, Be Like Mike and all this, you know, Michael Jordan's shoe commercials. But he can act when he has something that matters for him, you know. And this film really mattered to Spike Lee. And it has such a great, one of the things that I think is, like, you guys talked about the city, the neighborhood that it took, but also the heat. It took place in the summer. You could feel the heat just boiling up in this film. And the more the tensions rose, the closer the camera got to the characters' faces. And that is the making of a great filmmaker who knew, okay, you start out back here, you see the street, the closer and the more the tensions rise in the film, the camera got closer and closer to the characters' faces. You could see the emotions coming off the characters, the sweat, the tears, the anger, the spit, whatever you want to Same. But yeah, I mean, I bought the Criterion last year. A lot of great special features on the Criterion. If you want to get an up-to-date version of it on Blu-ray, definitely go out. Wait till like June or July when the Criterion sale. You get it 50% off from Barnes and Noble. I always like to talk about the Barnes and Noble sale. It's such a great deal. But yeah, Do the Right Thing. Phenomenal, phenomenal film. Such a prophetic film today. As we're talking about this isn't going to air today. It's going to air in a week or so. But yeah, great. You guys all added a lot of great stuff on Do the Right Thing. Phenomenal, phenomenal film. And Chance, I have no qualms with you for having it as your number one. It definitely would be number one if it wasn't for this other film that Marisol and I are going to discuss, because Marisol had it at number one. I always let my guests go first. Discuss Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. As far as I'm concerned, Spike Lee's masterpiece. This is his masterpiece. Do the Right Thing. I get it. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to follow anybody, but for me, this is his magnum opus. This is an epically told, mounted story about an epic man. It is. Yeah, we all know. I mean, I guess we all know about Malcolm X, and Spike Lee takes us all the way to the beginning, shows us his origins. You know, his father is murdered by the Klan. The history. I think a lot of people maybe have like surface knowledge about Malcolm X, and this is so important to watch, to really see the journey of not an average, you know, rise and fall, black and white, good and bad, like a very clear moral lines about a character who was either always good or was great and then had fallen off and then became great. Like it does it injustice. He's a very complicated man who went through a lot of different stages in his life, and Spike doesn't shy away from that. He shows his more unglamorous parts of his life because they are all essential. They're all important in turning into the man he became. And Denzel Washington, if I've rarely seen a more egregious example of Oscar politics at play than Denzel Washington losing the Best Actor Oscar the year this came out to Pacino. Yeah, that hurt. This is a performance for the ages. Denzel knocks it out of the park. He disappears. He becomes Malcolm X. It's so moving. It is so powerful. And not just because of who he was, not one of those movies that you give more credit than it deserves because he was such an important person. It is a movie that lives up to it, that captures the scope and the impact of this man in his life and how complicated he was and how extraordinary he was. I can't say enough amazing things about Malcolm X. That is my favorite Spike Lee movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right in there with you. It's my favorite Spike Lee movie as well. Denzel Washington gives the performance of his career. He definitely should have won the Oscar for this film. And I am a giant Al Pacino fan. And I'm a big Unforgiven fan. Clint Eastwood. I mean, I love Unforgiven. But there was something going on that year where Malcolm X just got completely shut out. And it was like, what the heck is going on here? You're like turning your head. You're going both like this. What is going on here? Denzel is phenomenal in this. Mario Van Peebles is fantastic in it as well. And it's not like it's a 2 hour. I mean, it's like a long movie. It's just like a long movie. And the thing is, this people, I mean, you sometimes overlook the fact that people give their life up for a mission in an existence that they want to fight for something and that's what Malcolm X did. He gave basically his life up for the mission of trying to get the rights for African Americans and try to save people and try to give this country, open the country's eyes on what is going on in this country. And we're having that same thing right now. And so it's obviously hasn't changed since the 60s till today. And we got to start figuring out what the hell is going on with the country and its people. We got to get people in a room and talk about what the issues are, why are we getting these problems. But guys like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they put their lives on the line for these issues back in the 60s. And Denzel really puts it all out there in this performance as Malcolm X. And like I said, Mario Van Peebles is phenomenal in it as well. And Spike Lee, I absolutely believe it's Spike Lee's masterpiece. It's the greatest film he's ever directed. And you could see he really put a lot of his own energy and love and care into this film, because it was like his magnum opus. And I think with everything going on now, people need to go back and watch Malcolm X and start figuring out what the hell they're doing in their lives and stuff like that. Chance, I'm sure you want to talk about this.
Yeah. I think the most important question any biopic can answer is why. Like, we know most of the time we know the who, we know the what, but we want to know the why behind the person. And this is a movie that's all about that. From the opening to stuff with West Indian Archie to becoming like the prime figure in the civil rights movement in the 60s. Like it's basically his historical epic. To where you're just taking the life of this one guy and telling it in absolute detail, but telling it in a way that makes people understand that why he's idolized so much and why so many looked up to him and why so many just understood what he, why they loved what he stood for. Yeah, Washington's incredible. This is my favorite performance he's ever given, which is saying a lot because he's one of the best working actors we've ever had. He's excellent. Someone doesn't get enough credit for that role is Delroy Lindo, who's been in a lot of Spike Lee films. I think he's fantastic in the movie. And yeah, what puts us at my number 2? I do think it's an excellent film. I just think that it's not one that I've seen a lot of. Every time I've seen it, I like. It's kind of like Schindler's List. I don't watch it very often, but every time I watch it, I adore it. So that's why I put something like Do the Right Thing above this one. But yeah, Malcolm X, it's an excellent movie, and you couldn't do a top 5 Spike Lee and not put this on.
Yeah, I would be questioning having that person on as a guest if they did not have Malcolm X by chance. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, thanks a lot. I'll tell you what, guys. Let's get into some honorable mentions. Marisol, you got any?
Yeah, my honorable mentions were ones that you guys had, I think, already in your list. Black Klansman, 25th Hour. Did you pick Chirac? We were talking about Chirac.
I mentioned Chirac when I was
it.
talking Black Klansman. But,
yeah. But you didn't have it on your list. That's right. I did have Chirac as an honorable mention, a light one, because I think that was kind of, I know that we talked about Black Klansman, but Chirac, when I saw Chirac, that was the first one that I had seen since like
Old Boy.
Stop it. No. I mean, like the first one I had seen that like I thought was Spike returning to return to form, like this Spike Lee. While Chirac was the first Spike Lee movie I'd seen in a while that I wasn't more frustrated with it than I thought it was good. Not since I had seen Inside Man.
It was a while. It was a long time.
It had been a while. Like Inside Man was the last one where I was like, that was great. And then I saw a couple stinkers. And then Chirac was one that I put as an honorable mention because I think that was just fun and interesting, not completely successful, but just undeniable. Like, again, a great Spike Lee. He adapted that Greek play, and that was he went headfirst into it, and he made it as melodramatic and Greek play as he could. It was very over the top mishmash of everything. He threw everything at that movie. Some you like, some you don't like, but I thought it was art. I found it to be art, and I liked it.
Yeah, it's another one that I have not seen, so I have to put that on my list. Now I got 3 on my list from Spike Lee that I need to see. Chance, you got any honorable mentions?
Yeah, Crooklyn's one I like a lot. That
Yeah.
I think that was quite good. I mean, we brought up She Hate Me. It's not an honorable mention, but I do think I give credit for maybe introducing Anthony Mackie. I can't remember if this is pre or post 8 Mile. It might have been post.
It's post.
Okay, then Nick gets credit for that. Although I actually do think it's quite good in it. Mo Better Blues, I think, is a really different departure for Spike Lee, doing like a musical comedy drama. I think it's something we don't see Spike Lee do enough. And yeah, it's I think the last collaboration from Denzel we haven't mentioned yet. Anytime the two of them work together, it's gold. Yeah, because we mentioned the other 3. That was the last one. So yeah,
Yeah.
and last one I'll throw out there is 1995's Clockers. Yeah, hard, gritty crime drama. Introduced the world to Mekhi Phifer, who's really good in the film, and yeah, really like boots on the ground, like really like in depth like crime drama that I think more people need to check out.
Yeah, I haven't seen Clockers. I always heard that was kind of like, like an underrated gem.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of his more overlooked films. I think
Right.
it shouldn't be because it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Inside Man, Jungle Fever. I had as an honorable mention. You know, that was one of his early ones that he did. That really, kind of like a relationship movie more than anything. Cheating and stuff. Everybody has those moves where the husband cheats on the wife or the wife cheats on the husband with somebody, and his Jungle Fever. That's his. We got the Vietnam War movie, Defy Bloods coming. He did do a World War II one called Miracle at St. Anna. Not the greatest, but still interesting.
I actually really liked. I liked Miracle in St. Anna, but I understand why it failed. Like I understand why a lot of people didn't like it. I was moved by it, but I was in a specific place and ready for that emotional impact of that movie. But I get why it got kind of pooped on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best World War II movie, but yeah, I like the fact that Spike Lee had his version, his story that he wanted to tell about World War II. So that to me was fascinating enough to me, and just like he's doing his Vietnam War stories with the Five Bloods. I'm hoping it's better than Miracle St. Anna, but still, I like World War II movies. So I'd like to see Spike tackle World War II. So that was what Miracle in St. Anna was. But okay, so that's our honorable mentions. Guys, thanks a lot. Marisol, where can you be found besides this movie? Hopefully soon.
Yeah. Hey, knock on wood. Look out for me to debut in Schmodown. Hopefully soon. But you can find me. You can find me on my Twitter. My Twitter that I don't really use. I am at Marmar 9 3/4 on Twitter. You could find me on Instagram at Marisol Mariah on Instagram and on Facebook.
And Chance, once again, where can you be found other than the Schmodown?
Yeah, you can find my Twitter, Instagram at Chance4_91. Check my podcast, Stories by Chance. I'm not sure when this is, but it's going to be published after tomorrow. So we just did 40-Year-Old Virgin for our 15th anniversary episode, and we had Mark Ellis on to review it with us. So that was a good fun time. Go through that. It was really fun, really funny episode. And that's it for me. Just be kind to one another.
Yeah, that's Chance also does that podcast with a gentleman by the name of Russell Howell. 2 good buddies of mine. And he told me that you guys did Remember the Titans not that long ago. So
we did that like last year. It's been a while.
We went full circle. We all went full circle with Remember the Titans, the 3 of us now. And you can find me at Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. Or I'm a film critic. I write for a website currently called disappointmentmedia.com. I know the name. I didn't pick the name. I just work for the website. It's called DISIPPIONTMEDIA media.com, where I write about all kinds of stuff. Not a lot of movies out in theaters right now, but obviously the Five Bloods, we're going to be reviewing that. There's a lot of like retrospectives of movies that came out 20 years ago, 10, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So I'm doing a lot of those right now, but I'm getting a lot of studio links and stuff. So I'm trying to review some of those. But also you can find me on, if you want to look for more episodes of the top five weekly, I get that in my head now, the top five weekly. You just go to those channels and you can find episodes on my Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. So all old episodes of the top five weekly. Also, I'm doing a summer series just like I did last summer. Chance did Remember the Titans with me, called Bleacher Features, where I get a guest and myself and we discuss a sports movie from beginning to end and why it's relevant to society and why it stands up and holds up. So you could go and check out my episodes of Bleacher Features this summer. So for Marisol and Chance, good night, everybody.